Hello, welcome back, my love. I am so happy to welcome you onto a new video. Today, I really want to explore and talk about being true to yourself, which can be a challenge if you're such a deep empath and you've been so harshly conditioned to be a certain way, or you're just programmed by society to behave, or from childhood and your parents telling you like, don't be too much, don't be too like this, don't be too loud, don't do this and do this instead. And then you've been programmed to be the good girl or the good boy and to always really fit into a mold, and you just feel like there is more to life. And yeah, just unleashing your true self, I guess. That's the topic of today. Again, I'm not going to bring some sort of like truth with a capital T. I'm just going to share my tea, the juicy life journey of trying to be more myself in the world and navigating this. It's sometimes very, like a very confusing journey because sometimes, I feel like I just want to be so expressed and so liberated in like how I express myself in the world, how I talk, how I behave, what I do, what I wear, how I run my business, how I behave in relationships, and like what aspects of me I'm comfortable showing to the world. It has been a journey. It has been a minute. Like, I've been working on myself intensively for years and years and years, and I had many different very transforming life lessons and journeys. And still sometimes I'm stuck and I'm here, my only dream is just to be more myself and to be more authentic and just to be like, more like, liberated. And then I'm like, shit, but I'm scared. I'm literally scared. It put me in such a vulnerable spot. And I'm like panicking, and I'm like, and I'm in the state of panic, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I'm like acting out or shrinking my light and making myself so small, or I'm harshly judging myself. And so there is a journey, right? There is a journey here. And that's what I want to talk about today. It's how, just finding a sense of relief in your heart if you're an empath, if you're extremely sensitive, and if you are being bombarded with information. Especially, I want to talk about social media because I deleted social media from my phone 3 months ago. And it has been the most beautiful journey for my soul, because obviously running an online business, having an online presence, I was spending a lot of time and energy into creating content for Instagram. And so obviously I was also spending a lot of time and energy consuming Instagram stuff. And there is this energy, right, of like, I'm trying to prove myself. Like, you guys, I'm running a coaching business. Like, people hire me for me. I am the face of the business, right? They hire me for the journey I've been through. They hire me for how safe they feel around me, for the vibe I give them off, for how I inspire them, etc., etc., etc. So part of my job as like marketing strategy is to show more of me. Which created a sense of like me and my business just became one thing, and I couldn't separate. And when my friends were asking me, so what are your goals and dreams for yourself? And I was telling them about my business dreams and goals, and they were like, yeah, but for you. And I was like, wait, I just told you. And they were like, no, you told me for your business. And I was like, yeah, like I lost my sense of self through that. And being bombarded with opinions. Like, I just recently re-downloaded Instagram, and I've been scrolling through Instagram earlier today. And some people, I love their content and they inspires me so much. And I'm very mindful with my following. Like, I'm really mindful of like who I'm consuming content from. And if I feel any certain type of way, I should usually unfollow or mute people, because sometimes, and it goes in waves, don't be afraid to do that. Like, for me, that's so normal and natural. But I've been talking to a friend of mine who is also growing her business online and so showing up on social media and stuff. And she has been doing this challenge or this thing for herself where she unfollowed everyone. So she had 0 following, like she was not following anyone. And people got offended. And I'm like, that's strange to me. But yeah, I feel like everyone has a different relationship with social media. I don't really want to get into that because it's a topic that just I don't feel good. I don't feel good talking about this, honestly, because there's so much into it. It's such a beautiful thing to be able to connect with like-minded people, to share my work, to be creative. I've met incredible friends on this platform, but at the same time, my relationship to it was like, so many times I was still in that energy of like, I need to prove myself or I need to show myself. I felt also overly exposed. I've talked about this a lot when I took a break, where I've been just going through it internally and emotionally, and everything in my life is public. Of course, I have such a small audience. I'm, very grateful for that because it has been exposed to like fewer people. But in my head, I just know that it's like always visible. And so it's playing with the idea for me of like, okay, why are you hiding stuff? Because there were a time in my life where I was hiding because I was not comfortable being myself, because I thought like parts of myself were shameful, and then I needed to expose and be seen. And it's actually like something I do a lot with my clients. A lot of my clients are feeling like navigating this like fear of being seen, fear of being witnessed. And I've been working through that, and I felt quite comfortable. I'm comfortable talking to a camera. I mean, I'm always like feeling sometimes, like a little bit harder in my heart. But honestly, I'm loving it. And if you come with like national TV in the morning in my bed, like I would just talk about something because I love talking. So it's not an edge anymore. But it was like, okay, now I need to hide because it has been just overly giving, and I need to hide not because it's profane and no one needs to see it and it's shameful, but I need to hide it because it's precious. Just like the most amazing jewelry that you will, show and display in a museum, but with certain hours, with like a protective glass, with people paying for the entrance and stuff like this, right? And that's something that obviously I apply to my sexuality as well, because sexuality is at the core of my work. Like I teach people, like the thing I want to teach the most, and obviously I help people bursting through limitations and being more embodied, and we talk about pussy power. I'm gonna have to beep all of that on YouTube. That's so freaking annoying. But yeah, like, but it's like I've shown, I went from leading a yoga business, being a yoga teacher, to suddenly going into the coaching industry, coaching people and navigating like what is it that I want to share with people as well. So it has been my own exploration of like, I just love to help people. I love what happens with my clients, but I don't really know how to extract it and put it into like an offer, something that is understandable for people to get what I'm doing, because that's important if I want to grow that business and sustain myself with my passion and with that desire to help people in this particular way. But anyway, like that sexual energy, that like flirtatious, like showing up more sexy online, it has been such a deep reclamation, right? Because it has been like normalizing what's normal. Like my naked body is normal, it's not sexual. On the other side, my sexuality is also healthy and natural and normal, and it's not profane, it's not shameful, and it's all this conditioning that I was trying to undo. This like weird feeling and contraction people have, this trigger people have when we start talking about sex or money or death. Like those 3 subjects are like my favorite subjects to talk about because it triggers people so deeply. And not because I love to trigger people, but I think that's just a natural gift of mine. I just trigger people just by being. Because I love the taboo, and I love understanding where the taboo comes from, because it never comes from our pure beautiful heart and soul. Like, it's not coming from that. We are born without insecurities, without overthinking ourselves, without thinking this. We don't have a notion when we're babies of right and wrong, right? We don't think like, oh, this is bad or whatever. And so, but then I was like, hey, you know what? Like, my sexual energy, my sexy body needs to be protected as well. And I don't want to just have everyone having access to it. So it's a thing to navigate, right? And it's the same with my emotions and my heart. It's all sacred and beautiful. And I don't want to hide it because I'm insecure and because I'm afraid. But I do want to protect it. So there were this whole notion of protection. And I went completely off track with what I was initially saying. But you know what? We're here for it, right? It's just that then I struggled to put fucking titles on my videos, but fuck it. I will use ChatGPT for that and we'll be fine. And you know, you guys are hanging out on my channel. You know that when I start on one topic, I usually cover a lot of other things. But yeah, being yourself, like for me, there is just this like sense of freedom and liberation of like, yeah, you got to be yourself. You got to be, I'm dripping wet, guys. Like it's so hot in here. We're doing it. Deep sense of reclamation, of being your true self. And that means, for me, exploring different facets of yourself. Because you're not this one thing. Especially if you're a woman. But if you're a man too. If you're non-binary too. But especially women, we have such a diversity of expression of ourselves. And in this society, we have been conditioned to be so smaller, to, you know, repress like our anger, our sexual energy, our fun energy. Like I see so many women, especially here in France. So I left France as soon as I could, traveled a bit, lived in different countries. And now I'm back in France, healing so many things I needed to heal. It's been 6 months, and going back to my roots and my country where I was born, it reminds me, and I feel like I'm faced with all that conditioning and all this limitation, which I feel like I broke through when I left the country, because I got to be a whole new self. I got to, you know, have a new name even, you know, and have a new name, a new life, like meeting new people that had nothing to do with my past, which made the process of being myself, my new self, a lot easier. And not everyone has the opportunity or the privilege to be able to travel and change countries and just reinvent your whole self. And you don't have to do that in order to explore different facets of you. You can play with archetypes. That's something we do a lot in Becoming Her. And it's something I love to do with my clients in general, because there's such a powerful thing of like finding a name for an archetype. Let's say you want to embody your sacred Let's say you are on that path of reclaiming your sexuality, of deciding and claiming that you're gonna have the most epic sex life. Even if you're single, you're just gonna connect with your own sexual power, with that energy of creation that is within you, and you're gonna clean away all of the thinking that your sexuality is taboo or profane, or that is not right, or it's wrong, or, you know, like, or that it's shameful and you should hide it, that you should feel guilty for what you're feeling, and just exploring more of yourself and your pleasure potential, your orgasmic potential, and your confidence. Like, I can't stress it enough how when you start working with your sexual energy, because it's the energy of creation, because it's your eros, your life force energy running through you. And most people just keep that work in the bedroom, you know, of like, how are you gonna have sex with people? Sexuality is so beyond that, in my opinion, in the way I see it. And it's very unique, and I don't ask you to just believe me blindly, just explore your own relationship with sexuality, but that's how I want to relate to it. And that took me a minute too, because I've been so conditioned, and I've struggled a lot with my own sexual journey, my sexual healing, the number of people I had sex with where I didn't you know, I didn't want to have sex with them necessarily, or, you know, I feel like I owe them my body, or just like struggling with like how sexual I truly felt and how sexual I truly want to be in the world, but how dangerous that is, how criticized that is, and how difficult it is for me to embody my sexy self. You know, like when I'm alone in my room, I'll be down and dirty, you know, and this is something I want to play with, like sensual sexual energy with my friends, with people, like being confident in that without having to engage in sexual activities or like having sex with someone, but just living in that energy. That is part also of reclaiming one aspect of me. So let's say you want to play with your sacred slut. Let's say you've been feeling a trigger around the slut energy, but we all have a little slut living inside of us. And I mean that in the best way possible. And I don't know if I have to really beep this whole entire video. But you know, when you start to just embody that for yourself, reclaim it for yourself, it has nothing to do with other people and their perception of sexuality and their perception of you. It is just for you. And so you're giving her a name, and you will call in her energy and her name. I don't know what a name could I find for mine. I could just play with archetypes, but I love to give names to different archetypes. It just brings a lot more. I am dripping. How we like it. Sweating for you guys today. But yeah. And you will call her energy, and you will feel in your body how it feels. To feel like your inner sacred, like, you know, the one that is embodied in her sexuality. Whether you choose to be consciously celibate for 10 years, whether you choose to have multiple partners, whether you choose to devote yourself to one sexual partner, whether you choose to explore with so many casual people, one at a time, just one night stand, however you want to experience your sexuality, that's your sacred. That's for nobody else. But I don't want to get too deep into that. I just wanted to use that as an example of like exploring one aspect of you that may feel edgy. Maybe that doesn't feel edgy at all. Maybe you're like so confident being your sexy self and your sacred slut, and what you actually want to experience deeper and explore is your, what could it be? Your mothering self, you know, your inner mother, the one that is so nurturing and so loving, and you have all this like care that you want to provide, and you haven't been able to do it. It feels edgy for you because you're like holding back this love and this nurturing energy and this like power of love, of like unconditional love, and you want to explore that too. So the more you're going to explore different versions of you, especially if you think that they have nothing to do with you, like that they're so opposite to who you are right now, this is actually good, because who you are right now, or who you think you are, who I think I am right now, I'm not going to talk about you, I'm going to talk about myself, is a built identity. It's something I've created for myself. I think I am a certain way, but I'm a lot more complex than that. So when I burst through all the little boxes and all the little limitations that I put for myself, I feel more liberated, because I'm like, oh, I can be all of it. But it's also something that is challenging, especially coming back to social media, when you're seeing so many expressions of other people and you get bombarded with those ideas and you don't know where to put yourself. And that's something you can experience if you're like me, a very empathic, very sensitive person, and you struggle to have a strong sense of self and a strong sense of boundaries, because I have this tendency to merge with my environment. Like, if I love you, I'm gonna want to merge with your soul. Like, that's who I am. And you know, many people were saying in the industry that this is wrong and I shouldn't be like that, and I hated myself for that for so long, until I'm like, hey, I can have a healthy expression of that if I'm aware of it, building a stronger sense of boundaries, which is also part of becoming her. So if you want to join the program, you can check the link down below. It's an amazing online program. Honestly, you're going to be so transformed at the end of it if it's, you know, something that is calling you, because you will go through that exploration of play with your archetypes and building a strong sense of boundaries, being strong in your values, what's important for you, and stuff like this. So I worked really hard on that, creating that for myself, and that has really worked out for me really well. And then I also had to bring that compassionate aspect of like, hey, I have some natural gifts that are bringing both like something good and something challenging. And if I repress because I think it's wrong, then I repress also the good in me. My ability to form extraordinary connections and bonds with people in such a short amount of time, because I'm able to merge with them and to really like have like this deep connection, and like because I almost become them. And many people are telling you it's wrong, but it isn't. Baby, if you're like me and you have that too, just work on your sense of self. Like, be grounded, meditate, do whatever you need to be grounded, but also don't lose that, because that what's make you, first of all. That's why the people that do love you in your life right now and are so healthy, they love you because of that. They love you because of your ability to just like merge with everything and become everything. And it doesn't have to be another person. Like, I know for me, it's also like the environment. Like, if I'm laying on the beach, I will become the beach. And how ecstatic that is. Like, how pleasurable to just merge with nature and feel like a sense of oneness. This is what every spiritual teacher is looking for. And we have that natural ability. So it's a balance game, right? It's all about balance. It's all about awareness and doing things that feels right for you. But I guess I want to wrap up this video before it's too long. I guess what I really want to share with you today is, if you're struggling with that sense of self and that sense of like radical expression, being yourself, just play with it. See it as like a little laboratory, you know, like a little lab that you will make, like you're a little scientist and you're making experiment and you're a researcher, and then you take notes and just bring that playful energy to it and be like, okay, this week I'm gonna embody this energy because it feels edgy, but I also want to, you know, like I thought for so long, I'm just gonna give that little anecdote and then I'm out. I thought for so long that I was super vanilla in terms of sex. Before I started this journey and this exploration and really exploring sexuality with myself first, connecting with that energy that lives inside of me, connecting with the different expression, connecting with my deepest desires, connecting with my pussy, connecting with so many things, you guys. Like, I cannot condense it in just one YouTube video. It will because it took years. But I thought I was very vanilla. I thought many things were not for me. You know, I thought I was really not kinky and stuff, because I never even dared to explore that. So find an edge, find a thing that feels like, but it triggers something. There is an emotional charge to it. You're not neutral about it. You know, you're like, there is a little, you know, little, and see what it is. It doesn't have to be around sexuality. It can literally be anything. Just play with it. Play with yourself and know that you're just like in this experiment, in this human bodysuit, and you can change. You can change. You can have freedom to like dress in a whole new way. Like, just wear something that makes you feel like so not yourself. Like, I see so many people, they have the same style for many years. And I've played with my style so much. And honestly, if I'm being honest with you, I feel like I barely scratched the surface of like changing identities and like shape shifting, because I want to dress so outrageously, because there is something so amazing. We were doing that when we were kids, like playing dress up and, you know, role play and stuff like that. It's something that is incredible to bring back in our adult life and in our personal transformation journey as well, because you get to have fun exploring different things of yourself. Because if you never explore them, you will never know, and you will just stay the same and have so much contraction, and it will you will feel small because you're keeping yourself small. If you want to feel bigger, if you want to expand, if you want to just gain that confidence, and I'm not pretending to be the most confident girl in the world, to be honest. I have my share of insecurity and doubt and imposter syndromes and never feeling good enough and like self-hate and all these things. Like, I do feel them, you know, but I do feel a lot more confident than I was like a few years down the line and a few years back. and I feel myself becoming more and more confident. Also, confidence, something that fluctuates, but exploring all sides of myself made me, you know, detached from my ego and my identity that was so rigid. You know, I'm the yoga teacher. And then I felt like I had to kill every past versions of me in order to embody a new self, because I was like, oh, she was not good enough. Like, I can't believe I was a hippie. Now I want to be the boss babe. And then I was the boss babe and I was like, oh no, now I want to be like the soft feminine connected to God. And then I was like, oh no, now I want... Just explore all of them, see how you feel, and be like a little researcher. Like a little researcher of love and clarity and passion and just being more yourself and having fun with yourself. That's a hope I have for myself, really. Like, I'm doing that video for myself more than for any of you listening. But I love that you're here listening, obviously. But, you know, it's like, it's just, I'm constantly working on embodying what I preach. And I create those videos and I repeat the same thing for many years now. Like, I feel like I'm just like a broken record, but I still have, it's coming back in waves. I always have to deepen this work and embody it deeply and deeply and deeply. And I'm happy to share the journey with you. And I hope that you're enjoying your journey as well and that you like this video. If you did, leave me a little thumbs up, comment below, so I can feel your love, so I feel inspired to create more, because it feels good for me to create more. So if you support me, it feels fucking good. I'm not gonna lie, it feels really good and encouraging, because I've also been, you know, struggling a lot with my career and what I want to do, and maybe that's a topic for another video, right? I love you so much. Thank you for being here, and I wish you the best.